as we said, the first issue was the club was getting a little bit sort of stuck behind you.
Right.
Here on the left-hand side, when
Yes.
the club going a long way behind you, just a bit at the side of the screen
that's
there.
ridiculous.
And then the left wrist now, quite a
That's
sort of bow in there with that left wrist. So we're getting quite an angle here
seriously
now.
ugly.
With that left wrist there, okay?
Yeah.
Out of my drawing, obviously.
Oh, okay.
So what we're trying to do now is get this club to go back. As I say, hands are still going to work on a slight angle, and so's the club. It doesn't mean pushing your hands out to the side.
No.
We still want to come back on a slight inward path, okay? So this club going back now. Zoom in a bit there and get it clear the way. There we go. Okay, so club's going to work back now towards the camera. That for me, it's still a little, but it's still visible. It's not disappearing out the camera, okay?
No.
But the sensation always at the top of the back, so you get those thumbs underneath the shaft, okay? If we look at that golf club now, that left wrist goes a little bit too far, but it's not as bowed as before, okay? So the club face, okay, is there, and the left arm is there. Whereas this one, the left arm is there. And the club face is there. So your club face now is starting to get more square to target. Or more
I am
square.
overdoing it a little bit on my swing though. I mean, I don't think I need to go back.
No, not at all. Because you're hinging your wrist better, the club, as you can see now, you're just going too far. Because you're not used to hinging the wrist that much. When your left wrist does this, it limits the wrist hinge.
Locks you up.
Exactly. So you can't go back that far. When you hinge your wrist better, it can go a lot further. So that's to be expected, I think, initially.
But I can stop that.
Well, I think
I can think about doing a 90 degree.
I would only suggest potentially stop it if the ball flight is going badly as a result of you hitting the wrist. If it's a good shot, then don't change it. Only change what's broke, really. So if it means you have a slightly overswing, then so be it. As long as
I try to not do that.
Yeah.
I'm tall. I don't need to overswing.
You don't need to, exactly. But I would rather a swing for you that is technically better. If it's a bit long, doesn't affect the shot, so be it.
Yes.
Sometimes what you find when you say just shorten your swing, you change the whole timing of your golf.
Okay.
Things will, your club will go 90%, but then the body was 100%. Well,
then
you
it
come
rushes
back,
to get back to where it was.
and then you're 10% out with one thing or the other. So I think only change what needs to be changed. Okay. Ideally, that would be there perfect. That top of the backswing there, you can see the club now is just spot on.
Right.
So that would be perfect textbook-wise, but if it means the ball flight doesn't go any better than what it's doing now, then don't necessarily change it if it needs to be changed. Okay, so as we then come back down, we can then release the body. Ball now flying to target, as we can see. Ball flight now, there you go. So ball flight now nicely in that circle, sailing away, and a lot more height with that shot. I think we probably gained about 15-20 yards of height with some of those sixes. They were certainly going above the top of the trees, where some of your initial ones sort of going, I could still see them, but with the backing of the trees there. So I'm not clearing the trees, obviously, but when the ball goes above the trees from our eye line here, they're a lot higher than they were before. So that's going to give you an indication. And that's just purely coming out of the club face being 10-15 degrees less shut around the axis of the shaft. So before, your club face was obviously bowed this way. Now it's here. The club face now is going to be straighter and square. So you don't need to then try and resist the club from going left. So thumbs hinge up. Good draw to practice against the wall or the hedge, as you said, in softer contact. Up against the hedge, rather exactly, Or if you get some head covers, maybe get some head covers on your club. Just if you dent the wall, or get an old club maybe. But get that club from here now, and the wrist now are going to be hinging up. Once that club gets stuck behind you, it's very difficult, but you can't continue around that low. You've got to start lifting, and that lifting bows the wrist.
But then the whole of your body moves as well. That's the thing I understand.
You basically
I'm up and down like this.
Exactly, and that all stems from the takeaway. Now, for me, the goal thing is to get a good setup, which you've got, to be fair, and take the club to the top of the backswing correctly. If anything, any adjustments in the takeaway, the hinging of the wrist, or the top of the backswing, any problems there requires a compensation. And if we think the top of the backswing now, if we look at the timing, there's the top of your backswing there at 5.2. We come down to the golf ball at 5.6. So what can we change in 0.4 of a second? So set up better.
This brain won't work.
Not very many will. And again, this is why we see a lot of people have all these different swing thoughts. In 0.4 of a second, what can you think about?
You can't think about what you're going to buy for.
Exactly, So set yourself up better, hinge the wrist, and then react. Don't try and adjust the club or change it. I think what we will probably see initially with some of the changes, the ball going a little bit higher to the right. I'd rather see that going a bit higher than the right, than the one sort of shooting low left.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, we can play
live with that.
Make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Good stuff. Right on, David. Okay.